across the country would have been unable to feed their livestock. And thanks to the bill Congress passed and one I'm about to sign, we've spared the country that catastrophe. At the same time, we ensured workers are going to get a historic 24% wage increase over the next 5 years, improved working conditions, and peace of mind around their health care. And look, I know this bill doesn't have paid sick leave that these rail workers and frankly every worker in America deserves.
I don't get it. I mean, how can you say the bill doesn't include paid sick leave, but then the next few words out of your mouth is, but every worker deserves. If they deserve it, then give it to them. You all may remember that just last year, the 117th Congress, which was controlled by the Democrats, both chambers of that Congress, the Senate and the House, and this president, along with the Secretary of Transportation, denied these rail workers the ability to have paid sick leave. What difference does it make if you get those raises and all the other things that he was laying out there to cover for the fact that they took away what is the strongest positioning, the strongest tool that workers have in their toolbox, which is the strike? What difference does any of that make when they don't have paid sick leave, paid family leave, and that this industry, that the Congress and this president sided with the rail barons over the workers and their families? Every human being needs to be able to take a break every now and then. People get sick, our bodies break down a little bit, and it is immoral and inhumane that these United States of America, that is what happened to the rail workers just last year, late last year, as a matter of fact. We all are old enough to remember. And you can't call yourself a pro-worker president when you did that. Congress did that. They didn't have to step in at all, but they did that, and this president did that as well. So U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders on Thursday launching a renewed push for at least 7 days of paid sick leave for the rail workers. Let's watch.
Here today assembled to send a very strong message to the CEOs in the rail industry. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of the type of corporate greed we are seeing in that industry. At a time of record-breaking profits, that industry can and must guarantee at least 7 paid sick days to every rail worker in America. In the year 2023, that is not a whole lot to ask.
No, Francesca, I mean, not a whole lot at all. I quite frankly think 7 days is not enough, but it is a start. And not only should we hold the CEOs of the companies accountable, and Senator Sanders voted against that bill too, by the way. So let's let the record reflect. And there were a few others that voted against the bill to prohibit the rail workers from going on strike. But not only should we put the CEOs of these companies on notice, we need to put that Congress on notice too. Fran?
Yeah, no, look, I think look, seeing the president of the United States say, I think every worker deserves paid sick leave, but then go ahead and basically lean on Congress to preemptively break that strike that was imminent is the most cowed response to industry that I have seen. You're the president. You could create a directive. If it were Bernie Sanders as president, you think he would be fighting for them? You're damn right he would, and he still is, even though he is not president, right? So this is what I mean when we talk about Biden, and ultimately, yes, there are some inching in the right direction from the labor board right now, but it is not nearly where we need to go. And then push comes to shove, coming out of this pandemic, when you've got the supply chain issues, you've got inflation, time and time again, it is the workers who are being told, you have to take the hit. We have to put the squeeze on you, when they are the ones who have the least. And the only thing they have is the power to strike. And so again, it is talking out of both sides of your mouth and ultimately saying, guess what? I am cowed, I am owned by industry. I am too afraid. The neoliberal economists are in my ear talking all this noise, when all I have to do is show a little bit of backbone. And guess what? Hey, we found some sick days. Oh, hey, what do you know? These CEOs, they have some more money. And we know they do. But that's not the world we're living in, Nina. That's not who our president is, sadly.
No, it's not. And you're right, talking out of both sides of your mouth, always. I mean, this is beyond sad. I mean, it really is immoral to deny them those sick days and to side with the rail worker. I mean, the rail barons, because that's what they did. And to say, we don't want the economy to falter. Well, guess what? We don't want the economy to falter either. So give the workers what they asking for, because they weren't asking for too much. There was nothing unreasonable, Francesca, about what they were asking for. Like, this didn't make sense to me. And so many in the media, let this president, let the Secretary of Transportation get away with these flipped answers that really make no sense whatsoever. I want Americans to recognize this, that if they came for the rail workers, it'll be you next. Or somebody you love, or some issue that you love, absolutely did not stand up for those rail workers. They stood up for their owner donors. That's what they did. Now here's some details that might continue to make your blood boil. They make mine boil. Union Pacific, which defeated labor unions and progressive advocates in labor negotiations late last year, avoiding a contract that would have included paid sick leave for workers, reported a $7 billion with a B, underline it, underscore it, exclamation point, right? In income. It spent $6.3 billion on stock buybacks and just $4.6 billion on employee pay and benefits. And let me tell you something, America. If we can report this on Unbossed, you know that President Biden knew this. You know that Secretary Buttigieg knew this. You know that all the members of the 117th Congress knew this as well, but yet they still decided with a few. There were a few principled elected officials in that Congress that voted against that bill. Shout out to them. But for the most part, the Congress let this happen to those workers and basically said, to hell with you, your health, and your family. And rail giants, they are doing extraordinarily well. The most important part of this, Sanders added that 7 guaranteed paid sick days would cost the rail industry just $321 million annually, less than 1.2% of its profits. Do you hear that? Do you understand that? Francesca, go ahead. I know you want to jump in here, baby. Do your thing.
No, I mean, it's insane. Like the greed. You can't take it with you, and you haven't figured out how to get to Mars. You haven't figured out to put on a bionic suit made of the poor so you can live forever. You can't spend this in a million lifetimes. What are you doing? So it's just like, it boggles the mind. Now look, President Biden's like, okay, we want to tax corporations that do stock buybacks a 4% tax. You think they're gonna be so scared of that, but they can afford 4%. Why don't you raise that even more? Or why don't you make it illegal? Look, you could stock buyback after you meet the following guidelines. You have sick leave, you have family leave, you have minimum wage, you have healthcare, whatever you take care of the environment, you're running on green energy, and then maybe we'll let you boost your shareholders a little bit. We're still gonna tax you. But that's not the number one line. It's just, I mean, anyway, Nina, that's all.
No, friends, I know. Our righteous indignation is necessary, because far too often folks on TV, they talk about these stories and they have such a cool, calm, collected demeanor about other people's suffering. I mean, the rail workers have talked about how they can't get time off, they're exhausted. These people, they cut the labor force within the rail industry. And later today, Francesca, we're gonna talk about a truck carrying poison derailed, and how the people in East Palestine, Ohio got to bear the brunt of that because of the failure of government.
Yep.
So, I mean, listen, y'all, on Unbossed, you're gonna get that righteous indignation. Oh yeah, you're gonna get it. We're gonna let you know.